Welcome to the Westminster tradition, where we unpack lessons for the public service. I'm Danielle Elston, Managing Director of Good Government Advisory, and I've been allowed to drive the pod today.
P-plates.
I am joined today on the lands of the Kaurna people by my fellow recovering public servants, Alison Lloyd-Wright, Managing Director of the Good Travel Group.
Hello, Danielle.
And Caroline Crozavallo.
Hello, Danielle, and we promise not to undermine your leadership anymore.
We do.
Look, I think this is going to be pretty loosey-goosey, girls. Today is a very self-indulgent trip down memory lane, and some of it's on request from listeners in the sense that to answer some of the questions they ask us a lot about the pod and making it and our reflections on it. So one of the things I tried to do, and then I will tell you gave up, is I tried to scroll back our group chat for 3 years. We will never be trying that again. So I'm going to rely on my memory, which is not actually as good as I thought it was. So if I remember correctly, those early commission hearings for the Robodebt were in late September 2022, and they kind of start showing grabs on the news and radio of the evidence, and that gets us in. Us and actually a group chat of another kind of 4 or 5 nerds, which I had forgotten about.
Oh, yeah.
One of whom wasn't very well, and as a part of the cheer up process of being good colleagues, we decided to kind of find her the best grabs and updates. And then we discovered that those blessed nerds at the Royal Commission were not only just like live streaming it, but you could get home at the end of the day and lie down and watch the day's proceedings of an evening. And it was more gripping than any of us kind of, I suppose, expected. I mean, we've all done a lot of work on these kinds of things, but God, they ran that thing like with both discipline and theatre.
Mm-hmm.
And so analysing what was being said in that group chat becomes like extensive. So it kind of goes from a group chat of did anyone want to grab coffee to more as of like a draft PhD kind of thing inside this thread. And those other otters, our other colleagues said we should do a podcast if we really kind of had this much interest. I remember not taking that remotely seriously. Caroline, you then went to watch commission hearings live for your birthday.
I did.
You know, interesting choice.
Mm-hmm.
And from memory, your husband gave you a pod track for Christmas or your birthday, kind of like one of those, what on earth could I get this person?
Yes,
Again, I don't feel like it was necessarily with with direction. I still didn't think we were making a podcast. And then our first record attempt was in different rooms.
I'm pretty sure at that point Caroline thought we were making a podcast and we were like, okay, maybe.
We're like, surely this will be like taking up knitting or whatever, where like you buy all the stuff.
That was the vibe. It was a crochet vibe. That's so true.
And it'll never go anywhere. But that's okay. We'll all nod and smile. Because we were still enjoying the content, right? So we were like, we'll just kind of pretend. Then the first time we attempted to record, you had COVID and we were in different rooms in the same house.
Yes.
When we finally had 6 episodes done and made the music, and Caroline, you'd done a PhD on the tech and the processes that we needed, I still didn't think we were making a podcast.
What did you think we were doing at that point?
I don't know.
Like, what were we doing?
Crocheting. When we eventually dropped those first 6, we thought some of our friends might listen.
Yeah.
And they did, and we have made many new friends since. So before I tell you exactly how many new friends and where they are, we have made, and I have to tell you, listeners, that they don't have the script that I have because I'm going to drop things on them to see if they remember much about it. What do you remember from that bit before we dropped the first 6? Do you remember anything? Like, how did we get here?
I remember Alison making our logo, and to our great shame, we've never actually had a proper version of it. So we always, every time we use of it, we're like, does anyone have a bigger than 22 kilobyte?
Software, and then promptly deleted the free software.
That's right. We've never had
there was like a 28-day
document.
free, and if you kept it after the 28 days, you had to pay for it. I was like, I don't need it.
That I remember.
I'd forgotten about that, and the logo I love. Like, I did not expect it, and when you came back with it, I was like, that is gorgeous.
Yeah, it was so good.
So it's been 2.5 years since we dropped those 6 first episodes on the 1st of July 2023. And in that time, we've made 67 episodes of this podcast.
Oh, my God.
We have listeners in 64 countries, which either means public administration failure travels extremely well, or some of you are using VPNs and
I was going to say
pretending to be in
VPNs,
Estonia.
surely.
Totally VPNs.
We have covered 7 major failures across a couple of countries. We had 18 episodes on Robodebt and interviewed 7 guests, some of them multiple times, across 11 interview episodes. Most of you listeners listen on Apple Podcasts, about 60 to 65% of you. 13 of you join me on Spotify. 5% join my husband on Pocket Casts, because there's always got to be a rebel in the crowd. And I'm
So
interested in the
black sheep.
2% of you listening on your computers, which raises questions for me about your daily workflow. 90%, 1% of you listen on your phones, and mainly iPhones. So you are folding us into your commutes, your housework, and your gym sessions, which feels a bit wrong, but we really support you in those endeavours. So before we get to the reflections post the numbers, I've got a quiz for you. Number 1, how many minutes roughly do you think people have listened to us over the life of this pod?
Oh.
You're going to make me
this
do
is
maths.
Yeah, this is maths. Like
More than 1 million?
100,000. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, 100,000 is my guess.
7 million minutes of listening.
Holy dooly.
What?
You get less for murder, people.
1,000.
You get less for murder. 7 million minutes of listening to us.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yep. Sorry.
So I was
Question 2, what was our longest ever episode?
Was it the
gotta
amount
be
of
one of the
Vanstone
interviews.
Interviews? Yeah.
It was Sue Varden, and we didn't really want to stop either, but like at 1 hour, 34 minutes, even we knew that we were probably...
Yeah, that's a bit.
What was the shortest episode, back when you still had some control over like the timing of this, Caroline?
Maybe it will have been one of those early ones, like a kind of Columbia effect or
how not to stop something.
Yeah, there you go.
What do you think the average length, back when this had proper controls around it, of the first 10 episodes were, when Caroline had these massively strong views about what
Strictly
good looked like?
30 minutes.
That's right. Lisa Ailes.
27, well done, Alison.
Thank
30
you.
minutes.
Yeah. What is it now, Dee?
Right, my next question to you is...
Well, that was back when Caroline used to keep us, on track. And now I've given up on that.
So the average length of the last 10 episodes does not meet Caroline's rules at all. We are now at 52 minutes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Also, it has not meant that people have stopped listening, so it turns out it doesn't matter, Caroline.
Look, I have views. Anyway, we can argue about this offline. Anyway.
No worries. My last question, which state or city in Australia loves us the most by download?
Melbourne.
Yep.
100%.
Shout out to our Victorians.
Yeah. Thank you, Vix.
So speaking of that data, Spotify Wrapped dropped this week, and I think Alison might know the answer to this because I think I shared it with her, but my personal humiliation part of this is, does anyone know how old the algorithm of Spotify thought I was?
No. Oh, no. Someone at work, it was 74. Is it 74 for you too?
77.
Oh, bummer. That's even worse.
So after reflecting on my love of 50s and 60s Motown, I've had a look at the Spotify Wrapped for the pod, which is much kinder to all of us. Mm-hmm. Our listening time on Spotify this year is up 40%. Our follower count is up 85%. Our total audience grew 56%. I was genuinely shocked to discover that for a fair few hundred of you, we are your number one downloaded show.
Oh, thanks, team. And so many of you have been texting me that, actually. I'm just getting constant texts from people saying I'm your number one on Wrapped, so thanks.
And the big one for me, where I was like, oh, this is like getting your school report card. You don't get feedback like this anymore, was that Spotify listed us as a most shared show for 2025. So apparently this little public service podcast receives more shares than 99% of all other shows, which means that many of you are evangelizing about governance failures at barbecues and school pickup. And we just love you for that. Like,
thank you
so much.
I also particularly enjoyed that the Spotify Wrapped showed that people who love our podcast also love 2 other artists in particular, Taylor Swift at Tracks and the Wiggles.
Totally
Shout
Tracks.
out to our young parent crowd. 100%. And there were some other ones like the audiobooks that our listeners have listened to on Spotify was Jacinda Ardern, but I thought the Ezra Klein Abundance was funnier on the basis that, like, particularly Commonwealth public servants know that if you don't know Ezra Klein's Abundance, you can't participate in conversations and meetings at the moment in Canberra. And so I'm like, oh, you listen to us and then you listen to Ezra Klein and you're like, good, I'm ready to go. Like,
oh, see, I liked the romantasy series, Sarah Maas, Crown of Thorns. And I was like, yeah, baby, I'm going to go have a listen to that next too. Thanks, team.
Okay, so that's the, like, self-aggrandizing kind of report card. And we're like, just could not do it without this extraordinarily bunch of loyal listeners. Going back to the beginning of Robodebt, we started the podcast because we were watching the evidence and we had some initial reactions to it. One was, I recognise that. I've been in a meeting like that. I've seen a boss with that kind of behaviour. I've thought about things like that. And when you watched it, it just felt like, oh, the world's about to change. There's a need for a seismic shift in the skills and craft of public servants. Time has changed. All sorts of things have changed. This is what this Royal Commission is going to do. It's 2.5 years later. Alison and Caroline, did it do that?
So in thinking about this question, I went back and looked at the APSC findings because I'm a nerd. Thanks, Danielle, for the wry smile you just gave in response to me saying that. And one of the things I was thinking about what we'd said at the time, one of the things was that they talked about the kinds of actions that breached the code, and there were some that really resonated with us. So expressly directing staff not to consult or collaborate with others who had a direct interest in the matter, failing to consider the impact on and capacity of staff and work quality when setting timeframes, and failing to act on lawfulness or truthfulness given all the information you gain over a reasonable period of time, right? And I was trying to think about, with those things in mind, and we were like, wow, that's kind of a revolutionary way of thinking about maladministration. Like, that's kind of a much broader definition.
Oh, totally.
Much broader. And then I was thinking about, do I think that those ideas about maladministration have been internalised in the public service practice that I'm seeing? Like, I think it is a bit of a mixed bag, I'm going to say. Like, I don't... I think I'm
not sure they have it all.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Like, equally, I'm not sure that the Royal Commission set out to transform the public service so much as it set out to inquire into where and how and from whom certain conduct got you to that end point. And in doing so, I think they did, like you say, have a useful summary of the types of conduct that can tend to lead one to error. I am disappointed that not enough individuals that had the potential to be punished were punished as strongly as they ought to. But mostly I'm disappointed that I just don't think there's been any kind of large-scale reckoning about some of the lessons, and to the extent that there has, and to the extent I hear people tell me, oh, well, we can't do that anymore because of Robodebt, they've taken entirely the wrong risk from the Robodebt thing, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I mean, it's interesting to record this on the day that the Saturday paper led with an item about ministerial officers advising lobbyists and stakeholders to provide advice via disappearing messages on Signal because of the concern that advice would be captured by FOI. And then that makes you think about the FOI recommendations from the Royal Commission and the fact that the kind of raft of legislation being considered in the Parliament kind of cuts almost directly against what was recommended in the Royal Commission. So I do feel like there's something about the kind of, what would I have hoped for? I would have hoped, in my ideal world, I would have hoped that we would be more tolerant of the mess of public policy, more tolerant of how hard it is to get things right, and that we need to make mistakes and learn from them and correct them in the way that we go about, and that we kind of do that. And I feel like there's actually less tolerance in some ways for exposing the mess of public policy decision making, and that feels less positive to me.
Yeah. I think that there are increased conversations about how to do the work. I think that they're in pockets still. So I think the Royal Commission, and I think to some extent this podcast, without being, again, too much of hubris, where it's like we should probably have more conversations about how we think and how we do. But I think they're in pockets, and I think so I don't think they're systematised. I think they are led by individual good humans who want to talk a little bit more about what the job is and do it kind of with that vulnerability of going, I don't know all the answers. But I think I'm not sure it's driven by various Royal Commissions or integrity reports. I think it's driven by individuals hitting a certain age and their estrogen dropping and going, actually, I want to do something about this. I mean, I do maintain that this podcast, like some people, get sports cars, others start podcasts.
It is a very classic perimenopausal midlife crisis moment.
Actually,
can I just say one thing that has changed in this context is the idea that policymakers should not be disconnected from their community. I do genuinely think you see a lot more systemic commitment to the idea of spending time with frontline, and that's been a real positive in the public service practice. Sorry.
Yep, no, I agree. So we've interviewed Sue Varden, Mike Kaiser, both former current secretaries, and former Secretary Andrew Podger, ministers John Hill, Amanda Vanstone and Tom Koutson-Tonis, and Dr. Darren O'Donovan. Which one was your favourite to listen to get reactions from, to do either of those things? What's your favourite interview?
Because I'm a black sheep, I'm going to say the one you forgot, Tom Loosemore from Universal Credit. But I'm not saying it's my favourite because of it, because I'm a black sheep. But actually, it was my favourite because it was nice to talk about something working.
I agree. My favourite was Amanda Vanstone. I thought she was hilarious but insightful. And really had lessons that weren't just for ministers and weren't just for public servants, but aimed at helping both understand each other.
I thought my answer was going to be ministers Koutson-Tonis or Amanda Vanstone, just because they are both such plain-spoken. They gave such great copy. They were both incredible fun to actually do in the room. But actually, having had a look through the list this morning, I think it's Sue Varden for a couple of reasons. To have such a clear and clinical memory of what something was supposed to be and then be able to go back as to what it turned into. I mean, effectively, that's a lot of what we do in some of our leadership work and on the pod is what was I trying to do and how did I not get there and why not and what can we know about that? And so just the depth of understanding and I think it was actually Sue Varden for me.
Yeah. And I find I quote it most, actually, of the ones that if I'm ever quoting something, I sort of say, oh, yeah, Sue Varden talked about this. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's interesting. So that's one of so the quoting part. I mean, I quote you both.
Back at you.
All right, yeah, same.
And the worst bit is because this is a public podcast, I previously probably would have stolen your thoughts and ideas and not attributed them.
Badged them as my own, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. And now I feel this ridiculous obligation to attribute back to you all every time I quote you. But outside of individuals, we've covered Robodebt, Essendon, the Post Office, the Queensland Payroll, Pink Bats, Universal Credit, Oakden. Which of these stories and the lessons from them do you actually quote or refer to most often in your day-to-day kind of conversations?
Probably the Universal Credit, actually, in terms of the importance of someone holding the vision. And I talk a bit about Boss on the Floor from Oakden as well.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Me too. Universal Credit is very much, and I think it's part of that as well, that positive vision. It's a much easier story to tell, so I think there's something for us to think about there. But the other one for me is there's in the post office stuff, there's a few little like that kind of the buying the dud ICT system and why you might, and the Jeff Mulgan advice about it. Like I do find myself often talking about how you can kind of end up making terrible decisions. Anyway, yep. So that one too.
I do use the Jeff Mulgan written advice all the time. Incredible.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. How about you?
So I use Universal Credit and I quote them a lot more. I think partly exactly what you just said, Caroline, which is I like to tell people that there's a happy ending. Like I was a speaker at an end of year event and I was like, I am not giving anybody misery for Christmas, and they will think they're getting it when I start telling them about how Universal Credit kind of slipped down. Yep. But I'm going to tell them how it all came good in the end. That said, I probably still use a lot of Robodebt, partly just because of the granular amount of when you're working with someone or you're talking about an issue, there's always an example in Robodebt where you're like, that's like this, that's like that. There's just so much, there was so much in it. So I think Universal Credit, because I'm trying to, again, be slightly more chipper about our craft and practice, but still use Robodebt quite a lot. All right, let's lift the veil a little bit. Podcasts have become much more professional since we started this. They're all over bloomin' YouTube in proper studios with like props. We have become less professional and slightly more chaotic. Aside from the fact that we could never have video recordings of this. I mean, if the public could see whatever those boxes of things are currently behind you, Caroline, and the state of all of us on a Saturday afternoon, I don't know if we'd ever get any work again. But we've had some pretty unhinged recordings in trying to push this thing out once a fortnight. What are some of the most unhinged memories you have of trying to get this podcast out amongst lives, commitments, travel, that kind of thing?
While Alison's thinking, I knew this might be a theme of questions, so I asked ChatGPT to review our transcripts and pull out like interesting things that I might want to tease you about. And I love it. Totally got who said this wrong, and that's brilliant as well. It says Alison announcing, "All right, we're having lunch or what?" during an interview, which was actually Amanda Vanstone who said that through our interview,
but would be totally on brand.
I just think the AI knew that like it could have been Alison, right?
Exactly. But it does capture some of the chaos, even though it's not strictly true. It's like feelings true for me on that one.
I mean, any number of times we have forgotten an essential piece of kit to record something. We've tried various
Max Barlow here, like yes. Max who drove all the way to the coast with the one connecting thing that we had not got.
Thank you, Max.
Good on you, Max, darling.
And the number of times we've had to then go and raid like a teenager's room to see if they had a cord or a spare something to see if we could pull this off.
We've recorded on the couch, on the floor, on around a kitchen table, around a trestle table.
Oh, see, my strongest memory of chaos was I really didn't think we'd get the caretaker episode recorded because we just didn't have enough time, and we did it on the floor, and then I couldn't get off the floor. We had to leave to go to an event.
We recorded in beanbags, so we're trying not to rustle throughout the recording.
Stay still.
It has been chaotic.
Danielle and I both had to roll onto our sides onto the floor in order to get out of the beanbag.
Yep. Hands and knees, safety first for the low mobility crowd.
Just in case people listening at home think that we're classic professional ladies, I need you to know that.
Under no circumstances.
So what else has changed, though, about how we've done this? I mean, I would say that the advent of the online recording has... I don't think we could still have put these out every fortnight if we were still trying to be in the same state, let alone the same place with the right cord. Like the level of things that had to happen to go right to always do it in person was a lot of things. Like you had to be in the same state, get there, and then you had to find a teenager to drive you the thing that you forgot before you could get started. So I think the advent of online has meant we've been able to interview different people that we wouldn't have been able to otherwise, and turn up to record when we wouldn't have otherwise. What else do you think has kind of changed?
But it is harder for me to cut you all off online than in the room where I can indicate that it might be time to bring the plane in for a landing. Yeah.
Easier to dodge your eye contact, mate, when down the barrel. I can just turn the camera off.
Which is to say, I need people to know, because in public, people sometimes come to me with ideas of the podcast, which of course I do share. But I also say, I'm not actually the boss of the podcast. I'm just the boss when the mic's on.
No, Caroline's the boss of the podcast.
Caroline's the boss, just to be clear.
And I think one of the things that has changed.
It's true.
One of the things that has changed, and I wrote a little speech I wanted to give at this point, is like, it's hard doing a thing with friends, right? Like, and it's hard doing what's essentially a work product with friends with no boss. Like, that's really hard. And we're 3 bosses ourselves. And when I think about what's changed, I think it's like, I have relaxed into being less controlling. I have been very grateful for you guys letting that happen in a way that didn't, like, I mean, you know, there's a different world where this was really tough on our friendship, and it hasn't been. And I just think, I don't know, what's changed is it has become a pure, unalloyed joy for me. And I reckon in the first year it was harder. And I do just want to acknowledge, I know it was harder for you guys as well. And I love you. And I'm so glad we stuck with it, because actually the sticking with it has got us out the other side where it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't prepare a speech, but I have a right-to-play response, which is, you are still the boss, but also for all of our gentle and loving ribbing, this wouldn't have happened, and it certainly wouldn't have kept happening. Alison and I would have floated off into remember when that time when we recorded 6 episodes of a podcast and never uploaded them anywhere distance?
When we took up crocheting, you mean?
Yeah.
Your total determination.
I still have half a granny square somewhere.
It's so true.
Your hard work, particularly on the technical side, and pushing us, I want to say thank you, and that I'm very grateful for, because the pod has changed so much of my life, which, as I said, I would have drifted off into the "Are you serious? It's Sunday. I have other work I need to do." Had you not been like, "Won't take long. You'll be fine. Come on, let's go. Closer to the mic. Turn it around. No, not like that. Not like that. Not like that. Stop flapping. Stop banging. Crazy lady."
Oh, bless. Anyway, I'm from the mushy stuff. What's next, Dee?
Favourite episodes to either record or because of how it landed. See, some of them, I reckon recording is like an exam. You know, when you walk out of an exam, and we've got young people in our life who've done that recently, and you've actually got no idea whether it's any good unless you listen back to it. So it doesn't have to be to have recorded it, but either recording it or how it landed.
Is this where we reveal the controversial news to our listeners that I don't listen to our podcast? I was there. I don't need to listen to it later. Both Caroline and Danielle do listen to the podcast.
It's like, sometimes when I'm really depressed,
to edit out any stupidity, mate. Like, we listen back for the edit. So that's actually, if you're like, I'm cool, I was there. My argument to that is someone has to do the sense fact check at the end and cover your ass.
I love that. But for me, it's actually, I listen because sometimes I am just like overwhelmed with work and everything is feeling too big and too depressing, and I'm in another state and I don't have, and it's just like, it's a way of having a chat with you guys without having to like bother you while you're busy. I love listening to it because it's just like having friends around right here. So anyway.
May I also recommend for that particular niche in your life, Nigella Lawson reading How to Eat on Audible. Incredible.
Brilliant.
Like, nothing will soothe anxiety like Nigella telling you how to make mayonnaise. Nothing.
My life's work is to get Richard Roxburgh reading anything. The phone book would be fine.
Well, you know, Colin Firth does The End of the Affair, and it's like frankly indecent how much gravel he puts in his voice in that particular reading. I'm just saying.
Anyway, favourite
episodes. I'm not doing a very good job of being Alison and bossing us around. Favourite episodes, ladies, what were they?
They're recent ones, but I most enjoyed recording the scenarios, but I also really enjoyed our episode on the Human Handbrake Report. And actually, you were talking about what do we quote a lot of? I quote a lot of the Human Handbrake Report.
Love that. For me, there's two. One is the Columbia Effect episode, and I love it because it's like actually it came out of like a genuine conversation the three of us were having about this, and like it just perfectly distills just a moment in a thing where things go wrong, and it's like it's such a good lesson. It's such a tight story, so I love that. And the other one, today I was re-listening to the one that we published on the when the APSC put out its Robodebt findings. I don't know, Danielle, if you remember that you got us to put at the end the Jeb Bartlett quote where he's talking about, sometimes you just get it wrong. Like there is just so much gold in that particular episode. It really summarizes heaps of themes for me, and it's humane and funny and not smug. And I was listening to it, and I felt the wisdom of it again. I'm like, God, how did we have such smart things to say about that?
Well, can I just say
West Wing quotes, I mean, I can do them on spec any day of the week. For anything, for child raising, you name it, there's a Keating quote or a West Wing quote for all contexts.
And also, if you know the West Wing quote but can't find what episode it appears in, Danielle knows that too if you text her the quote.
Very true.
On the smug, though, I am always conscious that we try not to appear like we have all the answers. And certainly for me, a motivation around Robodebt was a very strong kind of there, but for the grace of God, go I sense that I've been a part of public sector projects that didn't go that wrong, but could have. And I've been in meetings and seen behaviours and all the kinds of types of things that contributed to Robodebt. Anyway, now I've got us off track. Danielle, favourite episode?
No. I think that's interesting. I'm not sure if I have a favourite episode, but today I went back and accidentally found when the Robodebt Royal Commission report dropped, because we actually did the first 8-9 episodes or whatever it is before the report dropped. And I suppose I'd forgotten how impactful. So I don't think the episode is actually that valuable, so no one else needs to go listen to it. But I was just struck that when you and I were talking about it the week it launched, landed Caroline, kind of how much it whacked us both in the solar plexus, how beautiful a report it was, how plain the recommendations were. No one was trying to demonstrate that they could do a 50-word sentence with a word salad. Like Commissioner Holmes wrote it, like it was just beautiful basically. And that I had forgotten how we were kind of quite knocked sideways when we read it for the first time. So let's face it, we don't make money from this, and it takes time. So our buckets are not filled with money by it, but instead the dopamine and serotonin of the constant stream of feedback from our awesome listeners.
It's true.
Do you have a favourite bit of feedback aside from that 1-star review from that teenager in the first year it was? And, it's fine. We've moved on. It's fine. It was 3 years ago. I'm totally. It's not like I've definitely forgotten that 1-star review to all the 5-star reviews. I will find you, hunt you down, and give you a poor Uber rating. But your favourite bits of listener feedback?
For me, the appearing on stage at the ANSOG conference. You guys have been there all day, and I just kind of came in cold from something else, and it was just awesome to feel the kind of sense that people felt seen by the things so it was just that's what I really like, is like, I'm like, oh yeah, no, people really feel like we're capturing something about their lives in this conversation, and getting the live feedback with applause is literally like pushing all of my gold star seeking buttons.
Alison?
Someone very recently said that she felt like listening to our episodes was like eavesdropping on a table of brilliant ladies having lunch, and I was very touched by that.
I mean, you would have had to have showered to be at lunch, but which I haven't today yet. But
what about you?
I like it when I like the feedback that's specific, that comes in through the LinkedIn and the all sorts of mechanisms, where they're like, I was in a meeting today and I remembered when you guys said X and I did Y, because as much as I deeply like just the rock star nerd quotient of it, and walking out at the ANSOG Regulators Conference was like the closest to a rock star I am ever going to feel.
So true.
And the really specific bit where I feel like for all of those reports Caroline has forced me to read, or the times I didn't want to record, it's when people tell you they've done something really specifically different, that kind of feedback, I just feel like that was totally worth all the times I did not want to figure out what the point of the human handbrake was, and it's like it was worth it because people are gripping it up in a practical way, and I'm probably just inherently really practical. But what I didn't really expect when this kicked off was back to that the rockstar part is people would come up to me in meetings. Sometimes I've been doing trainings of 100 people online, and there will be something in the group chat saying, "Is this the lady from the podcast?"
It's not the lady, that's for sure. Sorry.
If one of us was going to be late, it sure as hell wouldn't be me. That's for sure.
It's the chick from the podcast.
And I've had someone ask me a question in the airport. What have been your favourite experiences of running into listeners in the wild? And my other one is not to steal from Annabelle and Lee, but I feel like listeners is boring. Like if anyone's got a good name for you guys as a cohort, I am totally up for giving you a name. That's my 2026 challenge. Tell us something we can stop calling you our pod listeners and start calling you something.
Westmonsters.
Westmonsters.
Westmonsters sound no. That's a hard no. Mine is
running into listeners in the wild, ladies. Go for it.
It comes from just this last week. I was in a meeting with a bunch of public servants talking about a tricky thing, like a kind of trying to nut through or whatever. And I emailed one of the people in the meeting afterwards, and I said, I just really respected how you worked through a tricky ethical issue kind of really thoughtfully and bravely and blah, blah, blah. And she emailed back and said, "This means so much to me. I'm a huge pod fan." And I was just like, that is delightful. It was beautiful because I was like, oh, I was just giving feedback, but now I know that feedback even meant more to her. So shout out.
So Caroline, I would say you and I are pretty good on the email and the LinkedIn responding messages. And listeners may not know this, but two of us are introverts, one of us is an extrovert.
Hi.
Alison. Yeah. Thanks for repping us for the people who want to meet up. Tell us about your running into people in the wild.
I appreciate the bravery of every person that's like, "Hi, I listened to your podcast. Would you be interested in..." And of course, it always goes like this: anytime, sometime, maybe. I mean, if it's not inconvenient, having a drink or coffee, hell yeah, anytime, hit me up.
So, is that we're going to create a Tinder Grinder app for nerds? It's where you travel for work and you're like, okay, near this cafe there are 4 other people who would like to talk about governance failures. Ping them now to join you in this coffee line.
I love that idea, and I'm literally taking that. We are going to do that.
So, strong opinions held loosely. That is us, right? Very strong opinions and occasionally contrarians. I think potentially listeners, you think that we take opposite sides of an argument because we've thought about it, crafted it, and it's in the script. Sometimes I just want to disagree with Caroline for absolute shits and giggles.
Mostly this is the basis of literally all of our communication, though.
Yeah. So
it's not put on for the pod.
No.
There are hundreds of hours of our opinions strongly worded but held reasonably loosely now out in the ether. For me, sometimes when I listen back to an episode we've just recorded to send it off to our lovely audio producer, Adam, I disagree with myself before I've even published it. I'm like, I made that sound like I felt. One of them was I was in a mood the day we recorded. I don't know what the episode was, but we were talking about whether having a named lead of big reforms
I think it was the universal
made a difference
credit.
to their success. It must have been universal credit. And you two were like, absolutely, if you're Gonski or this and that. I was just like, I hate this idea. I have someone in my life who worked extensively on one of Australia's most massive reforms that has someone else's name over the top of it. And I listened back and was like, wow, that was a strong opinion that you don't actually hold because you were clearly tired. So having put your very strongly worded opinions out into the world for the last 2.5 years, Caroline and Alison, what have you changed your mind about?
To be honest, I'm not sure I recollect well enough.
This is the thing she doesn't know. What has she said?
What have I said? There was an episode that was released recently that was recorded when I was just viciously hungover from attending a wedding the night before. And someone who I know very well in real life texted me and was like, is it possible that in the latest episode you are very hungover? So I'm not sure that was my finest offering.
Have you changed your opinion on regulators though, Alison? Like I feel like you've had a bit of a
I have.
I feel like you've gone from like, oh, they're boring people to falling a little bit in love with our regulator crowd. Have I misunderstood that?
No, I have just a much greater appreciation for what regulators are doing and the difficulty of the environment that they're doing in, particularly from the time that we spent at the NR COP conference in Brisbane. But yeah, generally some other engagement across other events as well. I have a more nuanced view of what regulators do, and I appreciate them.
Caroline?
Yeah, I think I have gone on a journey that I don't like to acknowledge I had to go on, but like I think I have gone on a journey largely prodded by you, Danielle, about the wisdom of the front line and thinking through, like I think I always thought and kind of knew those things, you know, sort of, but I think I really have become much more humble about the ability of big brains to conceptualize and design solutions to problems, even informed by. And I think that's why I'm so interested in test and learn, and kind of because I now actually no longer really believe anyone is going to ever come up with a good upfront design. Like I actually, in fact, as I'm saying, I might know this is really the journey I've been on, from the idea that you should involve lived experience and kind of come up with something. I now actually think that's never going to be enough and you always need to do another thing. And that's been a learning on the journey. Specifically though, I did just want to shout out on our last Buzzword Bingo episode, I was listening back to it and we were all bemoaning the co-design mania and the way in which kind of a commitment to co-design is kind of false and performative, not false, but performative in government. I do feel like we, of course, missed the other side of the conversation, and Danielle tried to bring us back to it a little bit. Like there is a lot of performative commitment to co-design. There's also just a lot of announcing stuff and doing stuff. And like I feel like I would just like to,
yes,
yeah,
obviously.
I would just like to acknowledge the
implied
those things happen. Yes, yeah. So that's, I think that's not a thing I've changed my mind about, but it's a thing that I kind of anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think listening to a few of particularly the early ones, that strong opinions held loosely part is I feel less sure about everything as more time goes on. And I make a number of statements about change management in some of those early episodes, and the consultant who came in and met with the compliance team, that I'm not sure. It's not that I disagree with them now. I'm just like, but there are 5 answers. There are 5 answers to these things, and I've given one. And so I haven't changed my mind about that one. I just wish that, I'm more like when I hear it back, I think, well, it's reductive. Like you just said, X is Y and black is white or whatever else. And when I think about it, actually, I've changed my mind on it being that simple or that clear. Because sometimes it's very easy to mark other people's homework, right? Those who can do, those who can't teach or podcast. And so sometimes it's like I look at stuff that I've said and I think it's not that I've changed my mind, although sometimes I've just completely changed my mind, but a lot of the time it's that, that's really only one of 4 ways you could think about it, and I don't hold that opinion nearly as strongly as it has kind of come across.
I guess the other thing that it's not so much a change, but I think at various points various of our more junior burger listeners have asked us to reflect more deeply on how to handle things when you are not in a leadership position. And I really appreciate that feedback. And we're trying. It's harder to do than it seems. Because sometimes you have so little control when you're not in a leadership position that your choices are eat it or fuck off elsewhere.
And that is hard, and shout out to all of you living that. We don't edit much anymore. I'm not sure if we've gotten much tighter or we're just like much lazier, but with the benefit of reflection, are there bits you wish you had edited out, or have we edited something out that you are now prepared to cough up to our totally trustworthy listeners and the entire internet?
I
would like to kick off
already. Oh, yeah, I was going to say you've already outed one for me, because you talked about the text chain that this started on. And if you recall, guys, the original title of this podcast was Robodebt Text Chain, and we decided not to call it that because we were worried about our text chain being FOI.
Again.
And in fact, in an early episode, we removed reference to us being on a text chain because we were still government employees at the time and we were worried about it. I feel like now I'm probably less. I wonder if we've changed our position on that.
I mean, I am glad I fought the good fight not to have the word Robodebt in it because that would have been
that was very
limiting.
smart.
And I named the pod and I still maintain that it's an excellent name in the same way that Alison's logo is very excellent. I deeply regret being vulnerable enough to leave in from that on the floor episode in Manham that it hadn't occurred to me until that very day as a lifelong South Australian that Murray Bridge was in fact called Murray Bridge because it has a bridge over the Murray. Like, leaving aside all the people who come up and give us pod feedback, I am lucky in this town to make it through a fortnight without someone saying, I'm not taking advice from the person
Oh my God.
who took 46 years to figure out that Murray Bridge had a bridge over the Murray. And I wish I'd edited that out because I think that's been more career limiting than any of the other dumb bits of advice I've ever done or given or any speech slip-ups or whatever else.
Look,
so I would do anything
thing
to take that out.
that
We
they
do. We all have
realised
one.
way too late in life. I didn't know for a very long time, and I still can only see it if I really force myself, that the Australia Post logo is a P.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that till just then. That is like a whole thing. All right. I feel like I should confess mine now, but I have so many. But Alison, can you remember? There's so many.
Wish you'd edited it out or wish we hadn't edited it out? Come on, give me some more.
Well,
I mean, are we going to play bloopers in this episode? Because
we can, if we can go find them.
We do have one great blooper.
So should we insert it at this point here and just leave it to the listeners to figure out why and how it was edited out?
You don't flick a switch and move from A to B across everything, right? Like you do it incrementally and from one thing to another.
Oh man, I held on so well during this recording. You two
I swick a flick. Did we?
Really good. And I did it so perfect.
That was the first time I went down with both of you. So until then I was holding
totally
tight.
fine and all.
But I went straight down with you both.
Okay.
All right.
We have the
unexpected
switch of flick.
Swick-
The one
swick
that
of
sounds
flitch.
like clip. Yeah. We'll edit
Yep.
all of this. Yes. We
Okay.
have that one.
So we've just put that one back in. As I said, we do not edit much out, but sometimes we misspeak in a way that has a onomatopoeia that is of weirdness. Bringing it home, ladies, unexpected joys, because let's face it, for all of this smush and whatever else, it has been so much fun. The mug people, man. Like, I discovered today that I suggested a mug with what would Colleen do on the back in episode 9, and you both were like, who the hell would want a mug? So firstly, again, I win, and I got to prepare this episode, which is why I get to win all the games. And you were like, why would anyone want a mug? I have found an unexpected joy in the lengths people are now going to. And also, like, it's a pride of place in various offices, and I find that joyful. I think some of the phrases we have come up with, Alison, can you think of any of those phrases that have been an unexpected joy?
I am crediting myself, but I enjoyed and continue to use hashtag not all ministers when I'm doing training about things ministers might tend to do or not tend to do.
But not all of them.
Not all of them.
Hashtag not all.
Hashtag not all ministers. Because I mostly don't listen to the podcast once it's released, I'm always delighted every time I hear the theme music, which I love. So good job on that. Yeah.
Another thing we
Caroline?
don't actually own or have the copy of. Anyway.
Of course we don't. Of course we don't.
No, we don't. Like, I mean, Adam has it. Anyway. If Adam is hit by a bus, we are in trouble, is what I'm saying.
Oh. Thank you, Adam. This is probably also a good time after 2.5 years to acknowledge Adam of Pamper Audio, who takes our heavy breathing, banging children in the background. Dogs. There have been the dogs of
so
the pod.
many dogs.
There have been a lot of dogs of the pod over time, and it is his job to turn this into something you can all actually hear and listen to, which we'd make absolutely not easy at all for him. So Merry Christmas and thank you very much to Adam. Caroline, unexpected joys.
I often end a meeting now by saying, till next time. So that's a joy for me.
Someone did text me with, hello, Alison, the other day. And I enjoyed that.
It's so true.
This episode will come out after you get your Christmas presents, but that I'm glad that you are particularly fond of the number of people. Also, I think when we were at an event together, a bunch of people were telling us that Caroline and I say hello, Alison, in exactly the same tone every single episode. And that it's like a repeatable kind of brain click for those. And I wasn't aware that you and I say, hello, Alison, or however we do it in the same way. Okay. Our final mug winner for the year has lifted the bar yet again. Rachel Mazachak has started a new job in September. And at the same time, we took her podcast she'd never done a podcast before. She listened to ours as her very first podcast. And in the very particular way we often have, she devoured the entire Westminster Tradition backlog in 2 weeks. She listened while riding and driving and doing the housework, and then folded all of that thinking into a retro craft project. She used to crochet blankets based on the books she'd read, but she kind of went off reading for a little while. And so she is now doing each square on a podcast she's listened to, and our square is bright and joyful and slightly eccentric, which feels incredibly on brand. What really struck us was her reflection that the show gave her new knowledge, clarified opinions, and a renewed pride in being a public servant. And if I can Merry Christmas to all of our listeners, please do have that pride. I thank you for your service. I mean that genuinely, and I'm slightly emotional. I really am grateful for all your hard work. That is the whole point of what we are trying to do here. So, Rachel, thank you for stitching us into your year. Your mug is on its way to you now. Till next time.
Just some appropriately bureaucratic disclaimers. While we've tried to be as thorough in our research as busy full-time jobs and lives allow, we definitely don't guarantee that we've got all the details right. Please feel free to email us corrections, episode suggestions, or anything else at thewestminstertraditionpod@gmail.com. Thanks to Pamper Audio for our intro and outro music. Till next time.